con cuerno de chivo y bazooka en la nuca, volando cabezas al que se atraviesa. Somos sanguinarios, locos, bien ondeados, nos gusta matar.
A darle bandones somos los mejores, siempre en caravana, toda mi cebada, vienen pecherados, blindados, milicos, para ejecutar.
According to Wilson, quote, John Stuart Mill, 1806 to 1873, British philosopher, economist, moral and political theorist, and administrator, was the most influential English-speaking philosopher of the 19th century. The overall aim of his philosophy is to develop a positive view of the universe and the place of humans in it, one which contributes to the progress of human knowledge, individual freedom, and human well-being. His views are not entirely original, having their roots in the British empiricism of John Locke, George Berkeley, and David Hume, and in the utilitarianism of Jeremy Bentham. End quote. Mill's philosophy is still relevant today, and his harm principle makes an argument for censorship. Under what circumstances is it appropriate to limit the freedom of speech? According to Mill, quote, the only purpose for which power can be rightfully exercised over any member of a civilized community against his will is to prevent harm to others. End quote. So the real question is, do these ballads cause harm to others? The music is connected to the cartels through its continuous influence, support, and contributions made from downloaders and sold-out concerts. This kind of spotlight is magnified within the United States because its iconic sayings and outlandish slang runs against the grain of current culture. The music captures the audience's attention whether you're engulfed in the cartel culture or simply a spectator because of its direct lyrical, explicit content. Quote, everybody is singing and glorifying this. It makes it that much easier for the kids to just jump in. And they know it, the cartels, and they like it, end quote, said Schwartz. Quote, and I think the pop culture of it, and it being la moda, in style, if you will, helps cartels take a lot of kids into their recruit, basically, end quote. Although we have freedom of speech in the United States, this leads to the question where we draw the line. As Schwartz notes in the previously mentioned quote, children are easily influenced by their environment. Fill the environment with narco corrido, and the children will reciprocate. According to Summers and Dominic, quote, corridos or ballads have been a Mexican tradition, especially in the north of the country, for at least 100 years. The songs based on polkas and waltzes feature lyrics backed by accordions and brass bands. The Mexican Revolution, which lasted from 1910 to 1917, triggered hundreds of corridos about legendary figures such as Pancho Villa and Emiliano Zapata. But over the past 30 years, the biggest growth area has been the narco corridos, which are based on the real lives of drug smugglers, end quote. What harm can narco corridos cause? Some argue that narco corridos are not responsible for crime and violence. Violence and crime are responsible for narco corridos. Narco corridos can breed a culture that accepts or idolizes crime. It can inspire those who want to be a drug smuggler or paralyze people into believing it's just a way of life. It is the music of the cartels that glorifies their crimes. These songs may not directly cause harm, but there are many ways they can cause indirect harm within a culture. With all the potential harm that narco corridos can cause, many have attempted to censor the music since its inception. According to Profile, Mexican politicians began objecting when the music first became popular in the 1970s. According to Burr, Chihuahua was the first city to ban narco corridos in 1998 without any access. Walled states that Michoacán, Sinaloa, and Baja California follow suit and call on radio broadcasters to ban narco corridos on their stations. In 2007, documents showing that under former President Vicente Fox's administration from 2000 to 2006, 4 radio broadcasters were sanctioned for broadcasting narco corridos. The radio bans were found to be ineffective as it was too limited in its scope. It wasn't until 2011 that legislation became stricter. According to Wald, quote, in 2011, the state of Chihuahua legislature approved a statewide ban on narco corridos, but it was never implemented by local municipal authorities. In 2011, Sonora's Governor Mario Lopez Valdez issued a ban on narco corridos or corridos about crimes in bars, pubs, restaurants, and nightclubs in the state. Violators would have their liquor licenses canceled or revoked. The federal Supreme Court overturned Lopez's ban as being unconstitutional and overreaching his authority, and it was considered contravening to Mexico's freedom of expression laws. The City Council of Chihuahua's city passed an ordinance banning the performing and distribution of narco corridos. Violators are subject to fines of around $20,000 and up to 36 hours in jail, end quote. According to Free Muse, quote, on February 24th, 2016, Governor Mario Lopez Valdez announced the suspension of all permissions of public concerts featuring narco corridos, especially those where alcohol would be available for sale. On March 2nd, 2016, Coahuila State Governor Rubén Moreira Valdez went a step further than Sinaloa's Lopez Valdez and banned narco corrido music outright, threatening media outlets that broadcast the music with losing, quote, governmental support, unquote. Moreira Valdez declared that the ban will, quote, contribute to build a culture of peace in the state, end quote. There is a moral gray area surrounding narco corridos. Since narco corridos have emerged, legislation on the genre has been slow to catch up. From the turn of the century, people have debated whether these ballads should be censored. Do they cause harm enough to warrant their censorship? In recent years, the debate within Mexico seems to be turning towards censorship. We believe the harm caused by these ballads warrant their censorship. Based on Mill's utilitarian train of thought, narco corridos create temporary good for the target audiences. The repercussions, however, of the cartel lifestyle, which they are essentially promoting, are being glamorized and ultimately extremely harmful to the society and future generations. For this reason, Mill would not agree with the current movement of the narco corridos.